Hoity-toy.
Hoity-toy.
Check.
Check
Okay,
four.
Yes.
We are live. Everybody.
We are live. Okay, everyone, remember what we talked about. Everybody
be cool.
Everybody be cool. Okay, they just want the money. No one's going to get hurt. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Brian McCarthy interview show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And of course, stage left is Mr. Adam Hineker, and stage right now, a little bit of a quick biography. Now, for those of you who know, we talk about J Press a lot on this show. I mean, like in terms of, I get my chops busted a lot because I like I can talk about ascots for days, but I have sitting to my right a gentleman who is the scion, is that right? Scion of the Press family. It is a store that I have been shopping in for about 30 years, 3-4 locations ago, it feels like. And this is, and who is a legend in his own right, Mr. Richard Press. Welcome to the show.
Well, I'm glad you
Welcome.
said. I've often been accused of being a legend in my own mind.
Well, you know what? You got to start somewhere.
That's true.
It doesn't. And may I say, I know your age. I don't know if you're the type of person who would not want people to know how old.
No,
you...
not. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, you are 84, 85.
Don't cheat me a year.
Every year counts.
I made it this far.
Yeah,
I don't want.
Yeah, years and inches, if you know what I mean. But I would like to, and I don't want to sound like I'm like up your ass or anything, but I mean, I think it's wonderful how ambulatory you are. I don't say, but I think it's terrific how you've got all of your. The fact that you are how you are, what do you credit your, I don't want to say longevity, but the fact that you are so youthful and the fact that you're so kind of engaged in life? Is there something to it?
Well, physically there is. I go to the gym every day, every morning.
All right.
And I have a dirty martini every night.
There you go.
And such is why I'm still living and breathing.
Okay. But is it also you also have a zest for things, right? I mean, it's important, I think, to stay engaged, I think, as you, because I just turned 50. So for me, I'm a little weirded out by it. And but I feel like when I meet someone like you, it makes me feel good because I go, geez, if this fucking guy can do it, I can certainly run around in 35 years, maybe in 35 years, I'll have a robot wife. Get some
here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Well, I was just telling Brian,
please.
I've actually have a wife of 61 and a half years marriage.
That is insane.
Wow. We're the only ones around who haven't been divorced.
I would say, by the way, you pretty much say you're the only ones around and just stop the sentence. I mean, really. Let's just start here. How did you meet the missus?
I met her on a blind date.
Okay.
And we went to Allen's, which was a great bar on 3rd Avenue and 73rd Street.
Now, who set you up on the blind date?
My roommate from prep school, who was just finishing Yale Medical School. He's a doctor.
Okay.
And he thought that this girl that he had met once upon a time would be a great match for me.
Now, have you always been, because I know, listen, certainly at your age, all the schools that you went to were boys only. Now, were you intimidated by the fairer sex? Did you have?
I never had enough of them.
Okay, fair enough.
If I could find them.
Right. Well, it was a blind date.
Oh, let me tell you, going to Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire, before there were highways, it was pretty hard to find women.
Yeah, especially they called them the White Mountains because they were covered in jizz.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, right. Okay, but I guess my question is: did you have any sort of dating resume before you met her? Because you were 24 when you met her.
I was 22.
22 when you met her. Okay, so but there had been mixers and things like that, and family friends. I mean, were you a virgin when you met her?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. So you didn't.
But this was before the sexual revolution.
Well before.
So my experience was minimal.
This is barely before the American Revolution. Yeah. So all right. So you're 22. Your roommate says, "I've got this girl for you." Was she? Now you were living in New Haven.
City.
Oh, but you were already in New York.
I moved to New York. Yes.
Okay. So you're now in New York. you went to this place on 3rd Avenue and 73rd Street.
Right.
Now, for those people who are listening, the 3rd Avenue at that time had an elevated railroad.
No, that went out in 54.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
was not too long after.
Well,
57
years.
7 years later. Okay, fair enough.
7 year.
All right. So it was, but it was a nice part of town.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, sure. You're pretty, by the Lipstick Building. I mean, it's all kind of different now, but so you meet this girl at a bar, restaurant.
This woman, girl.
Sorry,
yes.
beg your pardon. Well, she was 20. Was she your age? A little younger?
She's actually 4 days older than me.
Okay, so pretty much right there. All right. You meet her, and was it immediately? Were you? I mean, 60 some odd years. I mean, you obviously have stood the test of time. But when you first met her, was there, like, when I met I've been my wife for over 20 years. So when I immediately met her, I was like, oh fuck, I think I'm gonna end up marrying this girl. So I mean, it was. Did you feel that way when you first met her?
The minute I saw her, it was electricity. Now, for her to me, maybe it took a few minutes more.
Always somebody loves more.
Yeah,
and I think it's better if otherwise.
But I will tell you, my wit and charm and sophistication won her over immediately.
Was it also blind and deaf date? All right,
we're having fun.
Now, what part was she from the city?
She was from upstate New York. Her father ran a tuberculosis sanatorium. He was a TB specialist.
Good Lord. Wow.
He picked the wrong disease because it sort of went out.
Yeah, that wasn't very fashionable.
But my wife moved after her career at Smith College to New York.
Okay.
And she worked in New York.
Now, in those days, typically an unmarried girl would live in like a women's hotel or something, or
she lived in a rented place on West 86th Street with 4 airline stewardesses.
Oh my goodness, the flight of stewardesses. I remember the Great American Health Bar on 57th Street. It was a little anyway, it was a place in the middle of the block, right up between 6th and 7th Avenue. But I used to have this Swiss Air flight attendant come in when I was 18. And the first time she came in, she wrote her name on a piece of paper, and she was at the Novotel with her room number on it. She sent it to me, and I showed up that night in her room smelling like soup. And I stayed the night. It was great. She would come into town from time to time. I was 18. I had no idea. I felt like she used me, but it was wonderful. So, all right.
So you had a meal of Swiss cheese that
Yes, I remember speaking. There were holes involved. Yes, sir.
You were very lucky.
I really was.
Already after 70 years, I'm jealous of you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I tell you, that lederhosen got quite a workout, right? Edelweiss. Edelweiss. So, all right. You meet this girl. You are 22, but you get married 2 years later.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. And now you've been married ever since.
Now a year and a half later.
Wow.
That's
back in those days, though. That was about the courtship.
Yeah, I was the first of all of my friends to be married.
Okay.
And the first to have a child also.
And you got married here in town?
Here at the Huntington Catering Hall in Huntington, Long Island.
Very nice. All right. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and now you're still married. Well, that's terrific. And you, like we had mentioned, you have 2 children, right?
I have 2 children.
Ben and the other one.
And
the other one.
Ben and the other one.
Ben and the other one, right? Call her the other one. Right. And you have like a litter.
Ben and Jennifer.
Ben and Jennifer, right? And you
who just won a blue ribbon at the horse show in Bridgehampton, Neil. We're very proud of her.
Wow, a horse show.
Yeah,
wow.
She's a champion rider.
Really? That's good. Well, it sounds like she's not unstable.
Hey,
yeah. I don't mean to nag you,
no,
sir.
No, go for it.
I'm feeling a little Philly.
I can see that.
That's the hat trick
I'm
right
so
there.
sorry. It really is. That's
the trifecta.
If you could work in Unbridled, there's certain people listening right. There's certain people listening right now that want to really kill themselves.
And I'm married to a mare. So.
Oh wow! Look at that. Now out in Bridgehampton. What do you mean a horse? So what? The horse is attractive, or does it jump around? Like what does the horse do?
Oh,
well, those are the 2 categories: your attractiveness and jumping around. How well they jump around?
It's called dressage.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Dressage.
Oh, yeah. I did get it from
Larchmont to call a bit of an underbrush. Jennifer's horse and marriage.
So should we talk in
Larchmont? Yeah,
Locust Lucas
at
Valley Lockjaw.
Yeah, look
John.
at that. That's
You
real-
keep your jaw.
right.
Yeah.
I was at Piping Rock last week.
Oh, yeah.
Piping Rock. That is really something else. So, okay. I got to tell you a quick funny story. You might get a kick out of
Okay.
this because I know you're a haberdasher from the old school. So,
Mm.
my buddy Fred got married, and Fred is my daughter's godfather. We grew up together. His great grandfather, maybe great great grandfather, was J.P. Morgan, and his wife is a Kellogg. Okay, whatever. They get married.
James Pierpont, the original one.
Yeah, the first one. That's
who
right.
was originally from Hartford, Connecticut.
There you go. Yeah,
I'm from New Haven, Connecticut, so I know all these.
You know all the
local-
Connecticut
yeah,
boys.
yeah.
You know, right? You know the Connecticut robber barons.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, so Fred gets married down in Palm Beach at that big Episcopalian church. And then I'm there, and I have a couple hours to kill. And this is after the season. This is right after Easter. So I'm just walking around Worth Avenue. I've had a couple of drinks. I've got nothing to do, and I happen to see a little tailor. And I look at the tailor, and I remember that this was just after Bernie Madoff, and you must have had some sort of you must have a Madoff story, but
I don't want to go there.
fair enough. But Bernie Madoff, and I'm looking at the store, and I'm going, why is the name of this store? And I remember that famously, this store, Bernie Madoff had a pair of custom cashmere pants made. And he had these pants made, and in the time it took to get the cashmere from Italy or made or whatever it was, he went from being Bernie Madoff
He went out.
to went out. Right. So I go into this little tailor, and very nice guy. He comes out because it's it's like there's nobody on the street. It's like Tuesday, in the middle of the week, and in late.
I've had
late
many
April.
days like that in the clothing business.
I bet you have. Yeah, exactly. So I see this guy, and I go, hey, how you doing? And I guess I'm here, wedding, and we're talking for a minute. And I said, listen, I have to ask, and I'm sorry. Before I even say anything, he goes, let me guess, you want to see the pants?
The Madoff slacks.
The Madoff pants, and he pulled them out.
Wow.
Yeah, but they were custom, so he's a little fat guy. Like they wouldn't fit me. I mean, he's like 5'7" or anything. I said,
You
boy,
should just have them in like a nice little lucite case right in the entryway.
I think he
so
wanted
everybody that
I think
asks for the
he
Madoff.
was very nice to bring him out, but I think he
Okay.
probably took a bath on those.
Okay.
Anyway,
Took a
so
bath
the reason why you're so listen, a guy your age with your resume, we could be here for hours and hours and hours, but your grandfather
Right.
started J Press in 1903 or 1907.
All right, got to do a quickie.
Please, go ahead.
Grandpa came over on the boat.
Which boat?
God,
Lufthansa?
No, and he landed not on Ellis Island, but at the Boston Piers, where he was met by two brothers who had emigrated prior, and they
Right.
owned a tailor shop in
Okay.
Middletown, Connecticut.
Okay.
So Grandpa, at age 16,
Okay.
went to work for the mishpacha there.
Now,
And wait, but this
okay,
is even
go ahead,
better.
please. Go ahead.
Have you ever heard, who Dean Acheson is? Or
It
was?
does ring a
He was
ring a
the
bell.
Secretary of State under President Truman.
Oh, of course.
All
Oh,
right.
that Dean Acheson.
Right.
Sure, of course.
And his father was the Episcopal Dean of Connecticut and got his.
I'm sorry, Becca, real quick. There's an Episcopal Dean of a state. Is that how that works?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
goodness
yeah.
gracious.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. At any rate, the Episcopal Bishop Acheson took a liking to my little Jewish
Sure.
grandfather.
Sure, of
and
course.
Taught him,
One of the good ones.
taught him English with the right kind of Groton
Oh,
accent.
Oh, how
Because the
funny.
bishop went to Groton School. I said,
Yeah.
FDR.
Right.
Right. And
What is this Hamantashen? My God.
Hamantashen is for Purim.
Yeah, exactly.
Purim.
Esther, come over here.
Yeah, but there's Haman, the Hitler of the Oive. No, let's not go. Anyway, all right. So my grandfather learned Ivy League English, and Dean Acheson
From
bishop-
Yiddish.
from Yiddish and Russian. And
Okay,
whatever. He
'cause-
came
so
from the
he-
Pale of Russia.
Okay, so he's from the
Latvia.
shtetl in
the shtetl.
Shtetl,
The
sorry.
shtetl in Baltermansk, which was near Riga in Latvia.
But the name was not Press.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so
And
that's-
and there was a town. There was a town, small, mid-sized city called Press, in what was Lithuania or I don't know what the hell,
yeah,
Central
whatever.
Europe.
Sure, of course.
So
But-
it was, and the shot put champion of Soviet Russia in 1960 was Tamara Press.
by the way, I knew that, but okay.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
okay.
she's related
Yeah.
to me. I never shot the
Right.
put or put
Beautiful
the shot.
mustache on her. Yes.
Oh, I don't think that's fair. I mean, it's okay to be anti-communist, but
Right.
not anti.
I beg your pardon,
I
sir. What are
mean-
your pronouns? Sorry.
So anyway, let me go
please.
back to
Go ahead, sorry.
Bishop Acheson knew a tailor, Mr. Goldbaum,
Okay.
who'd been in New Haven since the Civil War and
Wow.
was deeply in
German
debt.
Jew, I'm guessing.
Gold Mom, I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep. I'm trying to keep
We'll
up.
say Ashkenazic.
Ashkenazi, which would be like a European Jew,
It
not
covers the whole
Sephardic.
shtick, yeah.
Okay, sure.
At any rate, he made the shidduch. And you know what shidduch is?
Sir, please.
Shidduch
This is a family show, sir, please.
Shidduch is a Yiddish word to make an alignment between a husband and wife.
Oh, okay, like a matchmaker.
Matchmaker.
Find me a fine.
Anyway,
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
Episcopal bishop, wait, I'm in the wrong language. The Episcopal bishop made a shidduch with Mr. Goldbaum and Press. 2 years later, my grandfather was knocking on the door. How are you going to get customers? Nobody knew him. Nobody. And Goldbaum was an old man. I shouldn't say an old man. That's incorrect nowadays.
Right. Learned scholar.
I'm
Right.
85.
Yeah.
Who the hell am I to call an old man? Don't mock me. Don't mock me. Anyway,
Mocker you.
in 1902, Goldbaum left and J Press was formed. J Press Incorporated.
So J Press took over Goldbaum's store, which had been open since the Civil War, as a tail, but this was made to measure, right?
It was made to measure, and Grandpa knocked on the doors of all the Yale students, and with his Grottonian accent and his tremendous wit, which is translated down generationally to me. We'll see if it works on
You're
the
doing
show.
great. No,
so far so good.
So far so good.
At any rate, he knocked on the door, and all the Yale students took a liking to him, and the business took off, and that's the beginning of the story. That's the Genesis. That's Bethlehem.
Right. That is. And on the seventh day. All right. So now we're in New Haven. It's 1903. Your grandfather uses his connections from the Episcopal Dean of Connecticut through this Goldbaum and through
Goldbaum. Don't ruin it, please.
I'm sorry. Okay. There will be a quiz.
There's a difference of Goldbaum and Goldfarb.
It's Gold Bond medicated powder too, which is good on the.
You're very quick. That's
Thank
good.
you very much.
Yeah.
So anyway, so here we are, 1903. Store is there. Now your store prospers, starts in New Haven. At what point did the store expand to Cambridge et al.?
Well, in 1910, he bought a marvelous Victorian business, which had a tailor shop who was also bankrupt. So my grandfather got this beautiful store on York Street. It was across the street from Branford College and Yale. And it was in the middle of the Yale campus.
Okay.
And shortly thereafter, when all his Yale customers graduated, most of them went to New York, Wall Street.
Sure, of course.
So he opened up a shop in Broadway, near Wall Street, in 1912.
Okay.
And then in 1932, he bought a shop in the DU Club at Harvard University.
Okay.
And moved to various stores on 44th Street in New York, opened a store in Princeton in 1934. So those were the three big stores. And when after I sold the business, we also had a lovely shop on Post Street in San Francisco.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, 2 seconds. When you open a store and own a shop it doesn't matter, 32, 1910, whatever it is, guy comes in, gets fitted for a suit. Now, this might be a little inside baseball, but does the textiles come from one of these mills in the United States, like in Connecticut or Massachusetts, or like what's the process for something like that?
In 1910,
right?
I could be specific
Please.
because there was an article in a tailoring magazine that credited my grandfather.
Okay.
At that time, most of the American custom tailors were getting their goods from American-made goods.
Okay.
And this guy from Galashiels, Scotland,
came
over to New Haven, and he met my grandfather and sold him a whole waft of goods. So my grandfather connected with the firm in Scotland and eventually was one of the first American bespoke custom tailors to get most of the cloth from the British Isles.
Okay.
And then he was connected to other people in England, and most of the goods came in.
And that's also, I mean, from a selling point, that becomes a bit, because you probably have the exclusive. Now, I'm not mistaken. I think that's still in business, that Scottish company, or at least the idea that they do the tweeds. Do they introduce the tweeds?
They did the Scottish Hebrides tweeds,
right,
and Harris tweeds.
Right, of course. Yeah, I've got a bunch of that stuff on the other side of the house.
Very heavy. It itches.
It really does, especially when you're going, as we call it, free balling. Commando, hey, you're a bunny lass. Yes, on the outer.
If you wore Harris tweed trousers without large underwear, you're going to be a lot of trouble itching.
Yeah, you know what?
And scratching.
May start a fire.
It's terrible.
And if you wear, if you wear them lined too, then it's too much. Yeah, I don't know, but it's good for jackets, I guess, overcoats, that kind of thing. But all right,
wait, I got to throw in something.
Yeah, please.
My freshman year at Dartmouth, Robert Frost, the great poet.
Sure, of course. Leaves of Grass.
Yes. No, that's Walt Whitman.
Right, Leaves of Grass. Right, Walt Whitman.
You thought because of my age you'd catch me.
I don't know. I just thought, what did Robert Frost do? Did Frosty the Snowman or something? No. Okay. I know.
Passing by woods on a snowy, whose woods he saw, I think I know his hands in the village. All right.
Okay.
So Frost spoke before the freshman class, and he was wearing his J. Press tweed suit, which he bought in the J. Press Cambridge store. And afterwards, they had a small meeting of anyone who's interested in meeting Mr. Frost. So as freshman Richard, I was up to Mr. Frost. I went up to him. I said, Mr. Frost, my name is Richard Press. I'm a freshman at Dartmouth. And I'm a great fan of your poetry, and I'm also a great fan of the outfit you're wearing, the Hebrides tweed suit. And Frost looked at me with tremendous, he didn't throw up, but he looked at me and said, Mr. Press, he said, are you here to talk to me about my poetry or my clothes?
Oh, boy. It doesn't sound like the marrying kind, if you know what I mean. No, yeah, exactly. Come into my chambers. We'll discuss all sorts of manners of clothing. Yeah, I
wanted to get Robert Frost into the conversation.
I understand. Well, listen,
I'm not going to do Frank Sinatra or Cary Grant yet. You can bring me.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay, let's do it. Let's get in there. All right. Well, that's the thing about J. Press. It is, I mean, again, it's an iconic brand, and so at what point your dad takes it over?
That's correct. My grandfather died in 1951.
Okay, so you were a young boy. Did you remember him?
Oh yes, I was very close to him, and he died shortly before my bar mitzvah. So my bar mitzvah was sort of a sad affair because of that. But yes. So
he passed away, but in between there, your father obviously was working in the store.
Absolutely.
And at this point, have you gone from made to measure to having inventory?
Yes. After World War II.
After World War II. Okay. And that became simply by virtue of production lines and that kind of thing. And
actually, there's a political, very important social issue that lent into it. The GI Bill of Rights, Mr. FDR, President FDR's Bill of Rights, meant that thousands of public school graduate veterans were accepted into various Ivy League schools where they would not have been beforehand.
Right.
And in New Haven, where I grew up and lived, there were loads of GIs who were unlikely the old, real.
We call them the Italian problem.
The William Buckley, the Bill Buckley conservative.
Sure,
they were unlike that. They didn't come from Groton or Andover.
Yeah.
They came from Newark Public School.
It was the 50s 9/11.
And they wore their GI khakis. And the real clubmen at Yale liked the khakis.
Okay.
And at the same time, the GIs who were now going to Ivy League and other top schools.
Look at me. I'm dressed like cannon fodder. Look at me. Can you imagine these pants?
They bought a couple of tweed jackets to go with the khaki pants, and the highfalutin characters wore khakis with their custom jackets. So that became the 1950s Ivy League look.
How funny. So you're telling me that because I know the look you're talking about. So pair of khakis and a Harris tweed jacket is directly
blue blazer,
sure, is directly related to when all of the GIs came over, because back in those days were the khakis good from the GI? I mean, they were they glued? Were they crappy?
Well, in New Haven, where I grew up, right across from Yale campus, there was a surplus khaki store that sold khaki pants for $2.99.
Wow!
And everybody, even the millionaire scions, bought them there.
Right.
And were they good? Yeah, they were the same pants that the Army. These people were making.
Probably good quality. I'm saying
they were GI.
Yeah, sure. Isn't it funny? And listen, anybody likes a deal, but it's so funny how many fashions in America, like these iconic fashions, start like that. You know what I mean? Like just jeans, dungarees. They wore Levi Strauss or whatever it is, and then became, now you're paying $800 for like raw denim.
Don't give it away, but I'm wearing my Levi Strauss 241 white Levi's, and
those are
I
beautiful.
love them.
Yeah. How often do you wash your jeans? I mean, unless they get dirty,
I
obviously.
invoke the Fifth Amendment.
You know what a friend of mine told me? He goes, you put them. He said what he does is he puts them in his freezer. He puts them in a bag and he puts them in the freezer. But that's like dark denim.
Well, my wife grabs them away and puts them in the basement washing machine of the apartment house.
Once they can stand up on their own.
Yeah.
Well, white's also different too.
Yeah.
You're a brave man wearing white pants. I tell you.
No. That's the thing now.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, but just. Anyway, I'm just saying
right.
with my spastic colon, I should wear everything.
I'm
everything.
sorry to hear that.
Everything I wear should be dark brown. Okay. Okay. So now here we are. It's the GI Bill. Everyone's wearing these khakis. We have all these Catholics and Jews gumming up the works at all these Ivy League schools. And it is the most prosperous time in America's history. We are now inventing, the suburbs are happening. It's the atomic age. It is the highways are being built. What do they call
Television's
coming in. Your show of shows. So it's a
movie CinemaScope
in Broad, right? The Blob,
Cinerama.
Steve McQueen, Cinerama, exactly, right? Rex Harris. Oh my goodness, what a time to be alive! So now here we are, and
let me tell you about today.
Go ahead.
It's great to be alive.
Yes,
I'm not going to let you get away with that.
No, I think it's
not only the 50s. It's good now.
No, let me tell you,
have a sense of yourself.
To your point, I think that's wonderful because I get very maudlin when I meet someone of a certain age and they go, "Oh, I tell you, now these days it's really everything's falling apart."
It's refreshing to see.
Yeah, because it's always been falling apart. It's always chaos.
Yeah. There was the Depression. There was World War II.
Yeah,
come on,
exactly. Give me a fucking break.
A lot of crap going on.
How much porn you go look at on this one phone?
The Civil War and
the Civil War.
I mean,
the wrong side one,
terrible.
but still, I mean, I know what you're. Yeah, I know. The War of Northern Aggression, they call it. Yeah. So, all right, here we are. This is all very exciting to me because we are now in the 50s. You are you would go into boarding school, and but now you're
prep school, please.
Prep school, beg your pardon. Right. Prep school. What's the difference?
Those in the know,
please
call it boarding school. The O-trade population that they call it prep.
Can you imagine unwashed? Okay, with their cardboard suitcases full of dreams, with
Vitalis and
to fill in and everything. Now, here's a question for you. Now, did you experience, especially listen?
You know Vitalis hair tonic?
Why?
Every Jane, Joan, Judy, and Alice go for guys who use Vitalis. They like the wild, mild action curl with Vitalis.
Yeah, Johnny Weissmuller.
I grew up on that.
Yeah, of course you did.
And we're back.
By the way, and again, you're going to think I'm coming on to you, but you have a spectacular head of hair for a guy your age. It's barely even gray. I know.
Please, Brian, he's a married man.
I'm not wearing a shadel.
No, you really aren't.
No,
I mean,
no.
Right?
No, and I don't dye.
No, you don't dye it even.
No,
yeah, my grandfather didn't go gray until he was 80 years old. So he was in the.
How was his mind?
You know what? He was till the very end. He was fine. He was really a sweet guy. He was funny. He actually would sing a lot like you and had all these jokes and everything. I
only have 2 songs so far.
Well, the day's young.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. We keep up the vino.
We're only half an hour in.
Brian's dog is Rose, and I sang "Rose, I love you, but don't count your chickens." You know what that's from? Gypsy.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah.
All right.
The Gypsy was a Broadway show. Okay. You like your Broadway shows?
Yes.
Okay.
I produced 2 of them.
Oh shit!
And I'm a graduate after Dartmouth of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Okay.
And I appeared in a whole bunch of off-Broadway shows during slow seasons at J Press and co-produced 2 plays on Broadway. So yeah, but I'm sort of off of it now.
I was in a show called Co-ed Prison Sluts, the musical, and our big song was "Shit, Motherfucker, Fuck You, You Cunt or a Prick, Blow Job, Suck My Dick." Dum dum. It was at the Grove Street Playhouse, believe it or not.
Yes.
Yeah. So listen to us, a couple of old theaters. It's like Richard Lewis and. All right, we're gonna get away from it. We got to thread. We have to thread the needle here.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Thread the needle's the name of my column.
I know. That's why I did it. That's why I did that. Yeah. I know. By the way, everybody, Mr. Press has a phenomenal blog called Threading the Needle. There are some published books. it really, the man, if you think he's fascinating now, let's say you're having a hard time falling asleep, you start reading this stuff, boom, you'll be out in a heartbeat. It's just going to happen to you immediately. It's so good, you'll wish you never read it. So I can only recommend it more than you can imagine. So
my favorite slogan is Milton Berle. Do you remember Milton?
Of course. Yeah, just take out enough to win. Always
leave them laughing.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. But you know what that's from? The only taking out enough to win. Do you know that story? I'll tell you real quick. So at the Friars Club, they're talking about dick sizes, and they're all standing around there Milton Berle legendarily had a huge penis.
Supposedly.
Yeah, exactly.
I never saw it.
No, let's just say it'll ruin a weekend, but I couldn't sit for a week. So here you go. They're all talking, and Don Rickles is there with Sinatra, and they're all talking. And then they go, listen, we're gonna have a bet. They go, you're gonna put your penis size against Milton. So Don Rickles goes, hey Milton, just pull out enough to win. So it's a shame. I was a member of the Friars Club. The Friars Club is no more. The building and everything. It's closed. Yep.
Wow. That must have been the last 5 years.
Yes, it was right. It was during COVID, but they are very much in arrears with their taxes. And
I could see that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful old building. But for those of you who don't know, the Friars Club is like a theater, kind of a private club that was in the 50s, and they had a beautiful townhouse. But it Freddie Roman and all the old guys they all were members of
the and the Borscht Belts are gone too.
Right, but they are enjoying a second act in some capacity because a lot. What is it? Grossman's, do I have that right? There's a big one up there, but now what's happening? Grossinger's. Thank you. Now what's happening is a lot of these sort of bougie Park Slope, Brooklyn types. They go up there now because it's beautiful property up there. So
a recent Broadway show brought it back to life. Mr. Crystal
the Billy Crystal thing. Right. Mr. Saturday Night.
Mr. Saturday
Night.
Yeah,
exactly.
With magnificent lyrics by my friend Amanda Green.
Oh, Amanda Green. Yeah. Did you see the show?
I sure did.
I had two friends of mine, and they said it was a great show.
It's the only time I went out in COVID. And thank God I didn't get it, but I almost got sick from laughing.
No kidding. Well, you never got COVID?
No.
Not even once?
No.
Wow. But do you have any pre-existing conditions? You seem very healthy to me.
I don't want to go there.
Okay, fair enough. Let's just keep it there.
No, I'm very healthy, right?
Yeah, good. Well, okay, here we are now, 50s, 60s, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. When we've talked about the Jewish thing in Dartmouth. Now, even to this day, Dartmouth is known as at least in my mind, for some reason, I think of it as a bastion of anti-Semitism. Did you encounter any prejudice like that at Dartmouth?
Not personally. There were, let's say, 18 fraternity houses. There were 2 Jewish fraternity houses, and there were probably half a dozen that were restricted to not only Jews, but Catholics and blacks.
Right.
And
let's not throw the baby out the bathwater.
I didn't want to join the Jewish fraternity because I would have felt too much like Goodbye Columbus and Philip Roth. I went to Dartmouth to meet new people.
Sure, of course.
I didn't want to.
No.
And in my fraternity, there was 1 black, and there were probably half a dozen Jewish guys.
Okay.
And a couple of Catholics. So there was a lot of prejudice at the time in Protestant institutions against Catholics. Remember when Jack Kennedy ran for president? That was a big problem.
They thought the Pope was going to run America.
Right,
they got the Papist. Yeah, 100%. Who do you think killed Kennedy? You think it was how it went?
I think Oswald was part of it, but I don't want to give Robert Kennedy Jr., who I think is an idiot.
Wow.
And there may have been something behind it, but we'll never find out. Who killed Lincoln? I mean, Yeah,
exactly.
We know who killed Hamilton, Burr.
Other than that, Miss Lincoln, how'd you enjoy the play? Okay.
Right.
So here we go. So now it's the 60s now. Now, at what point did you graduated? You're in the theater, which again, it's a tough go. So I imagine you're auditioning. Did you ever take any classes, Stanislavski, Uta Hagen? I mean, you would have come up with, you would have known like the Brandos, they're a little older than you for sure.
I went for 2 years to the evening school at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and the teachers were terrific.
I'm sure.
And there were a few classmates of mine that went on. None of them became stars, but they got jobs.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is back when you could be a working actor and you could, go bus and truck tours and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so at what point now your dad is running the store?
And also his brother Irving Press,
Okay,
who went to Yale Law School,
Oh,
and
goodness.
graduated, and during the Depression he had no business. So my grandfather said, "Hey, you're a brilliant guy. Forget the law, come
Yeah.
in the business." And Irving Press, my uncle, who lived in New York, my father ran the business out of New Haven.
sure.
And Irving Press was a brilliant designer and buyer. And when, I think that Ralph Lauren learned an awful lot from my uncle.
Oh.
And
So but Irving was here in New York City.
in New York City. He was my mentor.
Okay. Oh,
actually.
no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
So were your brother and Irving with
I'm an only child, which accounts for some of my psychosis.
God,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to go there.
Me too. Love me, Daddy.
You gave me enough with Milton Berle's prick.
Yeah,
I don't want to go.
Pull out the prick.
I've been married for 61 years and she's happy. So let's not talk about it. All right.
I know. I can see what's in those
All
501 blues.
Yeah.
Tell you what. All right.
You
so
can?
I mean, you're dressing to the left, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
Right, Adam, stop drooling.
Yeah.
All right, it's a prick. You've seen a couple today.
Tell him what dressing to the left is. Do you want me to do it?
You go
No,
ahead, please.
Dressing to the
I
right.
know-
the
I know
left.
about that.
You know, it's what
I'm to the left right now.
what side your testicles
Yeah.
descend.
All right.
Of course. Yeah.
Have you ever heard there is a great audio clip of Lyndon Johnson calling a tailor? Have you ever heard the one where he
Oh yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
That's
and
great.
he goes, you know, my pecker hangs. He
Right.
apparently had a huge cock too. Apparently,
Yes.
He and Milton Berle's an unlikely combination.
yeah, exactly. Right. You want to talk about a Cold War? Exactly. So, all right, here we are now. It's the '60s. When did I'm assuming your uncle Irving? When did he open?
But now, in the meantime, we're talking about Lyndon Johnson's penis.
Well, that was a '68, right?
All right, let's go ahead.
Hey,
Go ahead.
LBJ, how many cocks did you
Keep
show
going.
today?
All right, keep
Okay.
going.
So now your uncle Irving. When did he open New York?
He
Because
came.
it was in Wall Street, I know, but when did he take over New
He
York?
came in the middle 30s.
Middle 30s. Wow, what a long time ago.
Long time.
And so then when did you plant 2 feet in the store in New York? When did you become the guy?
When I graduated Dartmouth, I was in the Army Reserves as a medic at Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio.
And before the show, you mentioned you got lucky
I
because
was
you were
in between
before
wars.
Korea
Yeah,
and
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
right.
And then when I moved back to New York, I took over the New York store. And they never knew quite what to do with me. But in 1966, the wonderful, wonderful, talented manager dropped dead at age 49. So I
Oh.
became the manager and I ran the New York store, which greatly, greatly enlarged.
Sure. And at what point did it move up to? Now, for those people that don't know, that don't live in New York, on Madison Avenue in the Vanderbilt in the 40s, that is called the there's a name for it. That's something district. Why am I blanking?
Mad Ave.
Yeah, but they also
Oh.
there's where all the clothing.
Mad
Mad Men for
Mad
sure,
Men.
right? But it was the gentleman's district that they
Yeah.
called it, where that was where all the stores were. Brooks Brothers had the big store there, and of course you had the store there, and Paul Stewart's there,
right.
and blah 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 blah. So it's
and also the Harvard Club and the Yale Club.
yes,
and,
Penn Club is over there,
all
and the
of
Yacht
them,
Club is over
Columbia
there,
Club.
right? Yeah, so it's
And the Biltmore Hotel, now gone. But the clock at the Biltmore was the meeting place for all the Ivy League and prep school people in New York.
oh, is that a
And,
fact?
yeah.
Okay, and then of course the Roosevelt Hotel, which is now closed. I think they're not.
No,
gonna-
it's open, but it's gone.
is it landmark? Are they going to knock that down? I wonder?
They're still arguing it.
Oh my gosh, crazy.
But we also had, I want to bring this up,
Please.
part of New York, the Store Club and 21 Club and El Morocco, all the great
all the-
nightclubs and all the great Dixieland nightclubs, Jimmy Ryan's on 52nd
52nd Street, right? That's where Miles Davis started,
The
and
whole
all
crew,
Yeah, that was the
absolutely.
52nd Street was like the jazz alley of all of
Right.
Birdland, I believe, was there initially.
All of them.
All of them, yeah, exactly. And that was. It's funny because my father-in-law, who went to Harvard and Princeton, and that whole thing, and he's about your age, a couple years younger, but he would always tell me about going to 52nd Street, and he's a big jazz guy, so all right. Anyway, so here we're at 1966. You take over the reins of the store, and now obviously you have a flair for show business, and a lot of times, retail is theater, and the store is. How involved were you in the when you took over? What when in its inception of your time? How did you make any changes in this store? I mean, the thing about J Press is you walk in and it looks like it did 80 years ago. And there's a there's an ethos to it. There's this, you know what I mean?
I was concerned that J Press at the time was thought of as strictly an Ivy League bastion, which limited the growth possibilities,
especially in those days.
In those days, so several of my competitors, at the time, Paul Stewart and Brooks Brothers, had 2-button suits. But J Press was 3-button
rolled sack.
I called my Uncle Irving. I said, "Hey, listen, let's do 2-button."
He's like, "You son of a bitch."
No, he said, You'll buy out of your cash pocket every suit we don't sell. Well, we sold out, and it ended up being a large part of our business. Right. At the same, I'd say white ties.
White ties?
Wide.
Wide. I beg your pardon.
The average tie was about 3¼ inches.
Right.
And there were a lot of my the upscale society male debutante versions of J Press customers came in, and I noticed they were wearing these wide ties. I said, "What the hell? Where'd you get those?" He says, "Those were Dad's in the trunk." So I got a hold of Irving Press, and I said, "We're going to order 4-inch wide ties." And Irving said to me, "You'll sell every goddamn one of them,
or you're going to
buy them." Yeah.
God, it's Irving.
What
a treat!
I got a call one day. Mr. Press, yes, this is Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite, as you know,
of course,
was the
big newsman.
The newsman,
right? Another big cock on him. I don't know that one.
I don't know. I never saw that. He never took his pants off.
No, put on a sailboat. Martha's Vineyard used to stir with it.
I don't. Well, we're talking about LBJ's cock and about Milton Berle. Now I got to talk about Walter Cronkite.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
Give me a break.
Historical penises with Brian and Richard.
At any rate, on CBS Radio, Walter
Cronkite
had his interview with Richard Press in White Town. Then Ralph Lauren.
Wait a minute. Back, you just buried the lead there. You had an interview with Walter Cronkite about wide ties.
Yeah.
Shut up. Really?
Wow. Yeah. Why should I shut up? You're asking me about
big news.
Yeah, big news.
You had to go somewhere.
It was only 50 years ago.
But I'm saying, like, that's funny that it was such. It's a testament to how well J Press was known, that you sold wide ties. All of a sudden, the most famous newsman in America is having a talk with you about it.
Yeah,
it's interesting to me. I don't know. It's wild.
It was interesting for me too.
Yeah. So, but you never did the wide collars. I mean, you kept it at the ties, right? Yeah. Okay. And so now 66, 67, 68, and you mentioned, let's do some celebrity.
All right. Let me break.
You have the floor.
68. Dick Cavett.
Sure.
Great, at the time, opened up his late night TV show.
Sure.
And one of the producers came to Cavett, went to Yale, class in 1958 at Yale. And he said, "How about you do all the clothes for Dick Cavett?"
Oh, shit.
And my uncle, my father said,
"You'll take it out of your own pocket."
Yeah. So we fixed him up. We did all the clothes for Dick Cavett for probably 10 years. And that was a great national exposure for the company.
Yeah, because if I remember, he wore suits in every show, you know, and I remember John Lennon and Yoko Ono used to come down blasted on heroin, and they would come do that show. That show was wild. Gore Vidal came on and famously got in a fight with the writer from Brooklyn.
Buckley.
Yes, very good.
No.
Gore Vidal and
Norman Mailer.
Norman Mailer, thank you very much. Yeah, Norman. Yeah.
See, my memory's still good. Yeah.
You're doing great, better than me. Adam can't remember anything except how big is your penis? We want to know from more. Okay.
Address left.
God bless you. You sure do. You taste right.
I'm wearing shorts. It's actually out right now.
It's just poking on the floor. Rosie's down there. All right. So now you dressed. Was he Dick Cavett? Did you actually? Now here's a question. This is what I would do because I'm shameless. If you have a celebrity that comes in and you've got to do them yourself, did you go, "Hey, listen, whatever a tailor you had, would you say, I'll take care of this myself"? Did they expect you as the manager to come in and be involved?
No, let me just about Dick Cavett. He said to me, "Mr. Press, I don't want to look like a Yale snob. I'm not a Yale snob.
Whatever. Okay.
But on the other hand, I want to look well dressed.
Sure.
So how about making an outfit for me that we can identify as Dick Cavett?"
Okay.
So his lapels on, which are the collar on the suit, were not wide, but they weren't narrow, but they were uniquely Dick Cavett. He didn't wear button-down shirts because he thought that was a little too Yale and not J Press. He wore plain collar shirts.
Okay.
He dressed beautifully.
Sure.
And we were compatico.
I once saw Dick Cavett with Andre Previn. In a restaurant. Yeah. You know who passed away today, by the way?
Yeah.
Tony Bennett.
90,
breaking
97
news.
97 years old. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's probably
So if I do them, I got 12 years to go then.
Yeah, 12 years to go.
All right.
Do 13 just to annoy people.
Okay.
You know, just to
Yeah,
really, yeah, exactly. Okay, so here we are now. Did you dress any other celebrities?
Yeah. In 1968.
Okay, big year for the press store.
In 69, actually.
Okay.
Irving
say.
Press said, "Look, you're a press. I want you at the front of the door, and I want you to welcome everybody."
You're
Can we get this? Can we get this guy in the show? How's he doing?
So who walks in but Frank Sinatra with a retinue, and I said, "Greetings, Mr. Sinatra. My name is Richard Press.
Don't look me in the eye, kid.
How can we help you?"
Right.
And he gave me a look over. I didn't melt. I made it through, and he said, "Let me see your 38 regulars."
Okay.
So I took him to 38 regulars. He tried them on. And to make a very long story
No,
short,
please.
for about a year, we had a long friendship and association with Frank Sinatra and his retinue. We went out, my wife and I went out with him to see actually his son, Frank Sinatra, who was performing at the Rainbow Room.
Okay.
He said to me, "Hey, Richie," called me Richie.
Okay.
He said, "Hey, Richie, what are you doing next Saturday night?" I said, "What am I doing? Nothing." He said, "How about coming to the Rainbow Room? Bring your wife. We'll have dinner beforehand.
Oh, shit.
And then we'll go see Frank Jr." And he said, "Hey, would you do me a favor? How about getting a table for the gang at J Press?" So I had to dress the house for Frank Sinatra.
It's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
No.
Now, here's a question.
Yeah.
When you have a client like a Frank Sinatra, does he expect a deal? Does he expect something
No.
for free?
No.
All right. I pay my bills. I pay my share, baby. I may be from Hoboken, but let me tell you something. I'll pay every bill you put. Patsy's, I never took a free Parmesan.
Yeah, but you know what? At those days, we used to carry Brioni suits, which were very, very expensive
Sure.
at the time.
Sure, 130, 120
Well,
maybe?
now they're over the ceiling.
Yeah, right.
But they were $395 at the time when our regular suits were maybe $175. But Sinatra always knew when sale time came. He used to get the Brioni suits on
That's really,
sale.
really
So he's a
funny.
pretty keen shopper.
Now, in
Yeah.
68, was he married to Mia Farrow?
He had just left Mia Farrow.
All right. That skank. Don't mention her. Richie, don't mention her to me.
No,
Rosemary's Baby.
actually, they had a good relationship.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a real May December type of thing.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna kill me, but he also had a big dick. I mean,
This guy, he's like an encyclopedia.
yeah, right, exactly.
Or,
All right, but enough.
I'm-
Bring out enough
I'm-
to
I'm-
win.
I'm on a cock show now.
You really are, exactly. Unstable.
Cockcast.
Did I do the horse jokes already?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I think
fair
we ran
enough.
through all
right.
those.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. All right, so Sinatra walks in this store. That is amazing. So you had dinner with Sinatra. Now, he was famously a big drinker. Did you ever feel like you had to keep up with him?
There was a bar across the street. Well, we went to the bar in the Hotel Biltmore.
Okay, with the clock.
With the clock, and
I said clock, by the way.
We went there many times. And
Okay.
when we came in, usually he came in. His retinue included the songwriter Jimmy Van Heusen.
Okay, like the shirts. Van Housen?
No.
Okay,
Jimmy
sorry.
Van Heusen was one of the great songwriters in
Like a
in music.
Roger Ebb or Cole Porter or Kander.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
one of those guys. Okay.
And I don't know if I should mention his name. I don't know if he's still alive.
I doubt he is.
But a guy who was a very famous gangster was part of it.
Okay.
Who also Sinatra bought him a couple of J Press suits.
Yeah, Sinatra had a real thing for the
And
gangsters.
he said to me, this unnamed gentleman, "Hey, Richie," he said, "Yeah." He said, "I know a very good guy that makes suits and out of Miami. You want to buy suits?"
Oh boy!
I said, "I appreciate
Don't,
you. No, we're
no.
not going to go there."
When you dance to the devil,
I blamed it on Uncle Irving. I said, "He does all."
take it out of your own
Yeah.
pocket. You want to
All right.
steal those guinea bastards? You go ahead.
But Sinatra was a real gentleman, and he got to know everybody that worked at J Press. He signed all the autographs. He even knew the names of a few of the tailors who were in our upstairs workshop. He was a wonderful guy.
Now, back in those days, were most of the tailors Jewish, Italian? Was there
It
a
was split,
okay?
more Italian, but a few Jewish ones
holdouts,
left.
right.
Yeah.
Can you make a suit?
No,
Could you ever work the sewing machine?
no,
No kidding, really?
not even close.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I'm not
I
saying
have
that-
enough trouble putting on a jacket. You know,
it's left and right.
Yeah.
You know, buttons are in the front. You can. handle it.
that's why I prefer a zipper fly than
Exactly.
you know. If I have to go pee and I have to unbutton all those, it's
I
tough.
can't take a
Very
button
tough.
fly.
No,
No.
no.
Oh,
Give me a
God,
zipper
so
all
what
day
do-
long.
What do I have all day, all
Do you-
afternoon?
Do you believe there's an old story that the reason why there are 3 buttons on a suit is because in Napoleon's army he didn't like it when the guys wiped their noses with their sleeve, So he put those buttons on there so they wouldn't be able to wipe their sleeves.
The greatest dresser of all time was the Duke of Windsor.
Okay.
And he had 4 buttons on the sleeve. So all the mavens who really wanted to dress up to the nines had 4 buttons on their bespoke suit jacket.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
You know what people do, which is really annoying, is guys that are my age, they'll buy a jacket, and they'll go to like I go to Bambi the tailor on 60th Street. It doesn't matter, but it's been around for millions.
I know the Deer Bambi.
Yes.
That was the first movie I ever saw.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Were you fawning over the? Okay.
No, I
Oh,
was
boy.
weeping when Bambi's mother died.
Yeah, I can't
It
handle
took me
that.
a couple of years to get over that.
No. Did you know they're making the Snow White live action movie and they're taking out the dwarves?
Yeah, I heard that.
Because they're worried that they won't people will be offended, because there are dwarves, by the way. They call them dwarves. They're allowed. You can't say midget.
And they would enjoy the publicity.
I mean, hello.
Absolutely.
If I was a little guy,
Probably the job. Yeah. They would like to be
And if I
cast.
were a dwarf, I'd love being next to a beautiful Snow White.
it's always looking up.
Well, now they said it's like just kind of a mishmash of like one's like a vegan and one's
God, I hate it. It's
plays hacky
terrible.
sack.
Oh,
and
come on, give me a break.
It's like they're
horrible.
like,
I don't.
What are they
different
doing?
Do you think
alternative.
Cinderella was a Snow White was a vegan? I don't.
Well, those birds and everything. I mean, she
Yeah.
liked an apple. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
They were.
But
I
yeah,
read
they're
an
like
article
they're
about
like
it. It was like-
magical. They're reinventing all
Right.
these things.
Getting
so
back to penises, do you think she liked cocks?
that, all day long.
I don't know.
Mr.
I don't.
Perez.
I don't spend a
Well,
lot of time thinking about that.
You know, it's really funny. All of these Disney movies, they came from Grimm fairy tales.
Yeah.
And they actually went into those. The original tales are from the Black Forest, and the original story of Cinderella is fucking terrifying. I mean, Walt Disney had to really sanitize all these stories, because if you look at the original European stories, I mean, there's some real old world. You know who Baba Yaga is?
No.
Baba Yaga is a Russian Ukrainian witch. She lives in a house on Bald Mountain, the highest mountain in the Ural Mountains. And she lives in a house that's made of children's bones she's eaten. And the house sits on a cooked chicken's leg. And her name is Baba Yaga. If you ever meet a Russian, whenever we go to, I lived in Brooklyn for 10 years, and my wife and I would go out to Brighton Beach, to the Russian places. And I always say to the waitress, I go, my wife here is Baba Yaga. They go, why you say Baba Yaga? Why? She's beautiful. Why you say that? So she's the ugliest woman in the world. You can hear her in the classical music piece, Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition.
Yes,
There's a
beautiful.
piece called Baba Yaga. So anyway, whatever.
I've never met a witch that I know. I met a lot of son of witches. But,
Yeah, they're out there. Believe
Yeah.
my fourth wife. Oh God, I'm still paying for that one. Filipino, as long as the day was short. All right, so here we go. Now we're into the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay. You married happily. Did you ever have to go? Now, this is something that's interesting to me. When I talk to guys that are your age that would go traveling, would you ever have to, for J Press, would you leave our shores and go to other parts of the world?
I never did on behalf of J Press. I did travel, or when I went in the business, I did road shows as a traveling salesman for J Press in the 60s.
Interesting.
But beyond that, my wife and I have always taken great pleasure in traveling.
What's your favorite?
To Europe.
What's your favorite?
Paris.
Okay. You like it in the springtime and you like it in the fall?
We rented an apartment on the Ile Saint Louis.
Yes.
But my son went to the University of Florence.
Okay.
Henderson? Way
Henderson?
back. He went to Middlebury and took the Italian language summer school. So he became fluent in Italian, and went to the University of Florence. I love Florence.
Okay.
I love Rome.
Okay, sure. Especially
I love Tokyo. I went to Tokyo
No
after
shit.
I sold the business.
Yeah, let's talk about
Okay,
that.
go
for a
ahead.
minute. All right, so here we are. We're going to jump through the 70s. We're going to get now to the 80s. J Press, established brand, iconic, that whole thing. At what point? And now it's a little close to the vest, because J Press is owned now by
Onwood Kashiyama.
Domo arigato. Yes,
Yes.
of course. Now, how did you meet these? How did this happen? How did J Press become purchased by a Japanese?
In the middle 1980s, very quickly.
Please.
It's a family business, and judging on what had happened with other family businesses, with estate problems and lawsuits between one his partner and this and that.
You're talking the Japanese company.
No, I'm talking about J Press.
Oh, good.
My
Okay.
uncle and our J Press's daughter. We all had different
Sure,
parts of the
sure.
business. So we said, look, we're all alive. let's sell the business, take what we can get, and so there won't be any problems within the family.
Okay.
And we had been
Total buyout.
Total buyout.
Okay.
And we had been approached by a number of firms, Burberry's of London, Hart Schaffner Marx wanted to buy, but we had made a license agreement in 1972 with Anwar Kashiyama, who were a major distributorship of clothing and had shops in department stores all over Japan. And they took the license to sell J Press made in Japan throughout Japan. And in the agreement, they had a right of first refusal. So
this is prior to the buyout. You're talking about
prior to the buyout.
You're talking about J Press licensed the brand to a Japanese store to sell J Press items under their over there.
J Press.
Okay,
and there were J Press departments and departments all over Japan.
Same line, or do they different design?
They copied it beautifully.
Okay,
they
sure.
imitated. I don't say copy. And they made an offer which was better than anything we had. We sold the business.
Okay.
And I worked under a contract to them for a couple of contracts for 5 years. And at the time, I'm not sure they knew what to do with the business. And I was recruited away and became president and CEO of FR Tripler and Company, which was a marvelous competitor of J Press with 4 floors on 46th Street, Madison Avenue.
Judas.
No, it was more corporate. It wasn't Ivy League. So it was a different.
Different animal.
And I left when they went bankrupt, and
oh shit! Wow,
no one was buying suits. So the long story, moved to Florida, and I went to the New York Institute of Technology.
Okay,
and I got a master's degree in cognitive behavioral therapy, and I became an elder therapist specializing in prostate cancer survivors. I haven't had it, knock wood.
No kidding.
No. And
not for lack of trekking.
And after a while, my wife said, look, let's get out of Florida. Let's go back to Connecticut. I was an only child. My father was 92 years old.
Okay.
All right. And in the meantime, I got a phone call from a guy named Christian Chenswald, who ran the Ivy Style blog on digital blog. And he said, Richard,
this is about early 90s at this point.
This is now 2000.
Okay, 2000. Right. Okay.
And he said, Richard, how about an interview? Well, after about 8 days of interviewing and hundreds and thousands of words, he said, how about writing for me? So he made me an executive editor, and I wrote 110 columns for Ivy Style. And I co-curated a fashion show at the Fashion Institute of Technology called Ivy. So,
and this is all independent of J Press.
All right. And J Press came back to me in 2017, 18.
Okay.
How about coming back to us as a consultant, writing column and being an MC at fashion shows?
Sure.
And so then I went back to where I am now at J Press. They published 2 books. I've done over 100 columns for them. And
beloved figurehead,
very broadcast as of now with the great Brian McCarthy.
Stop it! I had my fans. Thank you.
Who is not hung as large as Milton Berle? I don't know. I don't want to say that.
It's an afterthought. Okay. Believe me. For me, foreplay's apologizing.
Yeah.
All right. So now you're back at J Press, but you did say that you went to Tokyo. When you went to Tokyo, was that during the licensing agreement, or was this?
No, it was when the business was sold. I was invited to Tokyo. That's not me barking.
No,
that's one of Brian's.
Adam
I can bark too.
Right, you're doing great. Yeah. You're barking at a 7th grade level.
My wife often says, "Stop barking, Richard." Yeah. And anyway, we're in Tokyo, and they have a J Press convention with thousands of people.
Wow.
And I was my name is Richard Press. I was an Elvis Presley American celebrity.
I bet you were.
And I was television, all that.
Did your wife give you a hall pass? She go, you go ahead. You grab one of these.
No, I went alone. They didn't invite her, which was another. I won't go there.
Okay, fair enough.
But at any rate, after 3 years, I finally made the big time. They invited me to one of the karaoke clubs.
Oh, no.
In Roppongi.
Right.
And they couldn't get me off the phone. I brought down the house.
I bet. What'd you sing? Do you remember?
I did. I didn't want to cause problems. And, I had to look at the machine there.
Sure.
I sang Edelweiss.
Of course.
Edelweiss. I won't do it.
Mr. Press.
Please don't hold back.
And I did it. Edelweiss. Every morning. I did it.
Wow.
I forget it.
Yeah, they must have loved that. Exactly. Okay, that's great. So you were in Tokyo, you did some karaoke. you ever do karaoke in New York?
No, I thought my act was over after Tokyo.
Well, you know what? You listen.
You know when to
go out on a high note.
Yeah.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them,
Right.
know when to walk away, know when to run.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now you're back. Now you are sort of this. I don't want to say elder statesman, but you're sort of this.
You can say it.
Titular figure.
Be careful of your language.
Exactly. I keep.
I don't like titular.
No,
right.
I keep abreast
I
of
go
all
to the
developments.
gym and do
Yeah,
chest throw.
benching and right.
Benching,
Nipples everywhere. But now they dropped a drink.
So at first you talk about cocks, now it's nipples. Jesus
You were going on like,
Christ.
hey,
I thought we were talking about clothing
Later
here.
on in the show, we usually move on.
All right.
Caitlyn Jenner. We're working blue.
Mm-hmm.
So now at J Press, have you ever, when you were working in the store?
Yeah.
Unusual question, maybe, but anybody ever come in and try to hold up the store?
Yeah. I don't
Whoa.
know. Well,
Really?
A guy came in, a gentleman,
Sure.
at opening time, and he had a revolver.
Okay.
And he said, "Get on the floor, everybody, and throw out your wallets."
Oh no.
Wow.
So we did.
Sure,
We did. And one of our sales personnel sneaked out the back.
Oh.
And called the police. But in the meantime, we said one of our guys got away and called the police. So the guy ran out, and one of our sales personnel ran across the street and tackled him and caught. It turned out it was a toy revolver.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, he's lucky then.
Yeah.
God, I wouldn't. Guy's really going for employee of the month. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have
that
run out.
is-
Listen, go ahead. I'm trying to work my way through college here. You guys, you go right ahead. Now, in a store like J Press, now that you have inventory, and I know that you're not involved in the
I'm
data.
involved. Go
Well,
ahead.
okay, fair enough. By the way, I know that Robert Wolf is I became friendly with
Robert is a great guitarist, musician,
Yes.
intellect, and salesperson. He's
got-
great.
and he has quite a private life too. I don't know if he tells you what's going on. I tell you, that
I
kid,
stay away.
that kid gets out there.
No,
I
that's
tell you.
his business.
He's he's not afraid to say yes. Let's just leave it there. But okay, so but he
I
had
hope we're not going into his penal dimensions.
no. Oh God,
All
it's
right,
girthy.
I'm
it's like
sorry,
a hockey
Robert.
puck.
All right.
No, it's
We've
quite all
been
right.
right, keep
there.
going.
We've been
Circumcised twice,
Oh.
believe it or not.
there. We did
Yes.
a two-parter on
Yeah,
Bob Wolf.
We really did.
Package.
Can't keep up.
I don't like the trend of the conversation.
We'll pull it out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like a Mir Schmidt bomber, we're gonna pull it right
Yeah.
out. Okay, so but it was funny. A couple of years ago, I noticed these. You guys have these paperweights,
Yeah.
and they have pieces of fabric of the various schools in
Right.
them. And I told Robert, I said, "Look, I'm not trying to count anybody's money here, but this store must make a fortune with these tchotchkes because it's the little. For those of you, by the way, who are J Press online. I've been buying clothes online at J Press for 20 years. You want to talk about a nightmare 20 years ago because basically you had to call the store. You'd get some sales guy. There was a guy that sold clothes there who also sold like buttons and things like that, at
University buttons.
yeah, right, exactly. You know that guy, right? I'm sure he's passed, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was. But I remember I would call. I say I saw this jacket online. He'd go online. He had no idea what I was talking
Right.
about. But now the
Great.
website is really well put together, and you go online, you can buy your things and blah blah blah, and then you have a relationship with that Todd Snyder now. So
Yeah.
the brand seems very healthy.
It's up and going. It's healthy.
Yeah, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
especially because in this day and age when everyone is so casual, it's very difficult, I think, for a brand to kind of reinvent yourself without reinventing the brand, writ large. You know what I mean?
Well, prep school or Ivy, preppy and Ivy is a diminishing genre nowadays. But let me tell you this: Charlie Davidson, who was the gentleman that founded the Andover shop in Cambridge and lived until 3 years ago, age 92.
Goodness.
He was once asked a couple of years before his death. He said the so-called preppy Ivy League look has diminished so much. Back in Harvard, he said, "What do you attribute this to?" And Charlie said, "Look, when I got into the business, I had worked at J Press and I founded the Andover shop, and there were at least 10 Ivy League clothiers around Cambridge and Boston because it was a huge market.
Sure, of course.
And now there are only 2, J Press and the Andover shop. But those slices of the pie still sell that the remainder of that market, and it's a vibrant genre.
Yeah, in Baltimore we had the Oxford shop, which unfortunately is gone now. Now it's a Starbucks, but yeah, you would have these stores, and I was a kid, I didn't have any money, so now that I'm older, and it's a way also to people don't when you wear a jacket into a store and you just dress up a little bit, it makes a big difference. It does. I mean, it's a conversation piece
from your mouth to God's ears.
Right. Exactly. Right. God. Right. He's also talking about a big cock. Who should tell you? Until he made the Great Lakes, he took a nice big pish. Okay. Hello. Is this on, by the way, Adam? We're getting these are on though, right?
Richard he doesn't wear blue.
Yeah, he doesn't wear blue.
He keeps it above board.
It's so funny. One thing what really grinds my gears is baseball hats. In general, fine. If you're on the baseball, people that wear baseball hats indoors, and if you're sitting in a restaurant,
or if they wear them backwards.
Oh, fuck that. No, unless you're physically catching. If you have that stupid thing in your face, right. If you're actually catching in a baseball game, you're allowed to wear it backwards.
I don't have a problem with people wearing a hat indoors if they're Orthodox Jews in the synagogue. That's it.
Okay, great. Well, once you're at a borough park, they're
entitled.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you're the Mashiach, then
they're not baseball hats.
They're not baseball hats. Although
they may be embroidered yarmulkes.
Yeah,
underneath
you will see like a guy that's into like AC/DC with like a logo on his yarmulke. I have noticed that.
I have, upon occasion, I have gone to bar mitzvahs, and the little boy, they're conservative families, but he'll have like a yarmulke with Yankees on it, or a pair of big tits or something.
He's expressing himself. That's
why not? Exactly.
One of those big titty yarmulkes.
Big titty yarmulke.
Get a hold of one of those.
The Anne Margaret yarmulke collection.
Yeah.
Do you remember Johnny Carson had a line of clothes?
I think I recall.
He did. Yeah, made a fortune with those, I bet. And now what I think is interesting is now you can go, they have these Indian guys that come over, and they'll get like space in the Hilton Hotel or whatever, and they'll do they do these suit packages where you come in, you can get the executive collection, $8,000, $6,000, whatever it is, and they'll make you a bunch of different clothes.
Also Japanese and absolutely.
Yeah. And also it's fascinating to me how Asians, and this is nothing here nor there, but they love American culture. As a matter of fact, one of my very good friends, Paul Denon, he lives in Korea, Seoul, Korea, half of the year, and they just opened one of these Five Guy burger places, Five Guys.
Sure.
And he lives in an area called Gangnam, which is their very Fifth Avenue of Seoul, and they opened this burger place. 6-hour wait to get a burger at this place because it's from America, and they like it. I don't know. It's a big thing.
Well, you get to eat all the peanuts you want while you wait.
They do. They have peanuts
right.
everywhere.
Throw the shells right.
Are you saying Paul's a shell of his former self? A little nutty.
I do kimchi.
Oh,
okay,
that'll probably explains a lot. You're always, you like that stuff.
I love it.
Do you? Okay, I could never really get into it.
It's good for. It is very good for you.
Yeah,
and who doesn't like fermented cabbage?
Sure,
that you have to cut.
Try the radish kimchi. It's delicious.
All right, I'll try the radish.
It's to die from.
Hello, have you had that?
Which some people may.
Yeah, a little cholent and red
and a lot of caca.
Do you watch what you eat, or you just run with it?
I just go.
Yeah. Well, you're nice because you're slight of build, so you don't necessarily you're not somebody who's prone to. I recently lost about 40 pounds.
I lost 38.
Really? How'd you do that?
I had a temporary, not a stroke, but my doctor said, you're not going to make it to 90 if you don't lose a lot of weight.
Oh, no shit. Yeah, they say that.
And I did.
How'd you do it? Just by exercise and your diet?
My favorite is I love having a breakfast for dinner.
Okay.
I'll have cream cheese and lox on a bagel for dinner.
Okay.
No wonder. Yeah.
With a sour pickle. I had a little kimchi, maybe.
Kimchi, yeah.
And a dirty martini.
Of course, right. But no olive. You're watching your weight.
No, I do a cocktail onions.
Okay, like a Gibson. Okay, yeah, of course, certainly.
You picked that up.
I did. That's really funny. Yeah.
Gibson and penises so far.
Oh, hello. Now, Mel Gibson had a huge cock. That guy's a mess. But it's interesting because bagels they're the silent killer, man. All carbohydrates, you just can't eat them. You can't.
You have whole wheat and you scoop them.
You get them
you
And
scoop
it's
them?
only 120 calories.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
please.
Really a bagel skin at that point, but that's the good
Yeah.
part.
That's
You're
the
very-
good part.
You're
Yeah.
very comfortable with
I'm with
yourself. I'm always worried that what people think of me. So if I went into a H&H or something and I said,
Yeah.
"Can I get a wheat bagel scooped?" I would think they just asked me to leave. But
Yeah, I
Some-
would sooner scoop it myself.
You,
Yeah,
could-
I-
you have a certain gravitas.
Yeah.
Where
It's okay.
right.
You need a sharp finger too.
You know what? Hey, let's leave
his scooping
yeah,
finger.
leave my ex-wife out of this.
Hey.
Talk
God.
about a prostate exam. But I'm really glad now your dad and your brother to
Yeah,
the
uncle.
day they died, your uncle, his brother, were they friends to the end?
Yes.
Because I always brothers a lot of times can not.
No, I know. No, they were very different from one another, but a lot of different interests. But one was in New Haven, which worked for him, and
Sure.
the other was in New York. So it was a
Like here in New York we have Eli Zabar,
Yeah.
and then his brother, they had a huge breakup. So on the east side you have Eli's and you have Zabars on the west side. I mean it's a story as old as time immemorial. I have a half brother. I don't talk to him. I have a disease called Irish Alzheimer's, which is where you forget everything except your grudges. So that's something that I live with. I think it's better. You cut people off. You cauterize them. That's what we do. That's healthy, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Hi, I'm Brian. You're dead to me.
I have no grudges.
Well,
I don't like
Wow.
Hitler, and
no,
but,
he made
but
the-
I can't sound a grudge. I
You
don't
know,
know
like-
Hitler.
It blows my mind. Hugo Boss made those uniforms, and people still wear the clothes. You can go to there's a Hugo Boss over in Columbus Circle. I wouldn't do that.
Well, BMW made Messerschmitts.
I
so,
know.
you know,
Yeah, that's why they make Lexus.
By the way, I just read I'm
Go ahead.
almost finished with a great book,
Go ahead.
A Little Town in Bavaria,
Okay.
and it's a story of a small town, Oberstdorf, near Berchtesgaden.
Okay. Famous concentration camp.
and with a population of 6,000, and the book is the whole story of the members of the town from 1932 until 1950.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a
Great book.
Yeah, I'm a big World
I
War
am.
II historian
Me
too.
too.
I've got all kind of stuff around the
Yeah, I
apartment
do
and
too.
everything, and so yeah, I'm a big. That's I'm reading a memoir right now of a captain in the U.S. Army, but I find it. You must have had growing up. You must have known a lot of people that are in the war, right? I mean,
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Of course.
yeah, sure. But I mean, yeah, my grandfather was in the Battle of the Bulge. He said all he knew was Honda Hopem, hands up, Honda Hopem. He said that's all he learned. Honda Hopem, put your hands up. And he took all the bullets out of his gun. He said, I don't want to shoot anybody. Imagine. Well, Alton. He was my grandfather was a Chavez Goy. Can you imagine that?
Was he really?
He was. Yeah.
Hold that. We got to
And-
go
and-
behind the curtain.
We'll do a few minutes behind the curtain for Mr.
Yeah.
Press. All right.
Yeah, we'll go.
really
But I want to hear this story.
Yeah, I will.
I don't think. I mean,
Okay.
we've known each other a while. I
Long
never
time.
knew that
Ask
you
me
were.
if I want to hear the story.
He doesn't. Yeah, me
I
neither.
mean,
I've
you're
heard a
not
lot
inter-
of-
you're not
I
interested?
got to hear about a
Can we-
Shabbos Goy.
Can we give you a splash?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No.
Oh, all right. I don't know. Well,
I have to walk back.
You want a glass of water?
No.
Okay. I'll get you. You want to use the restroom? You okay? Okay. Very good. That's a